Hello, Sam-ariffic science fans! So, I was originally going to make this video about how animals adapt to the places they live. However, I had a new idea that sounded even more fun, but stays with the same topic. I'm going to answer the question I've been wondering for a while. What would Wings of Fire dragon tribes look like if they lived on Mars? You don't need to have read Wings of Fire to understand this video, and there won't be any spoilers. I've chosen to only do the tribes from Pyria because doing all 10 felt like a lot. Also, I won't be thinking about the lack of food or water for this, except for sea wings because sea wings, like water. Sam-ariffic science fans, today we're gonna unfold the world of Martian dragons. Mudwings, in their natural swampy habitats, are large, bulky creatures with a nose on top of their snout, so they can breathe while being submerged in the mud. They also have mud-colored scales to act as camouflage. They can breathe fire, but only if they're hot enough. Other than that, they're just standard dragons. But what would they look like if they were adapted to life on Mars? First of all, I don't feel like they would be mudwings, because there's no mud on Mars. They'd be something like rock wings. This would mean they would be rock colors, and on Mars, that mostly means red. They also wouldn't need their noses on top of their snouts anymore because they can't submerge in mud because there's no mud. As for their fire breathing, only if they're hot enough, well, I don't think they could breathe fire. Mars's average temperature is negative 63 degrees Celsius, making it very hard for them to get warm. In the intro, I said that we would talk about the lack of water for the sea wings and sea wings only, and here we are. For this, we're going to assume that there's an underground ocean beneath the surface of Mars. However, it's very small, and that means the tribe is actually very small, and they rarely go above ground. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about what they look like on Pyria. They have streamlined bodies that allow them to maneuver easily in the water. They have gills so they can breathe underwater, and light-up scales they use to communicate in language called aquatic, similar to Morse code. Their scales are blue and green. They also have large tails to make big waves, and night vision so they can see in the dark depths. I honestly don't feel like the tribe will change that much. They'll remain having streamlined bodies and gills for breathing. They can keep their large tails because why not? It's a cool ability. However, since they live underground, they will have a few key differences. Many underground dwelling organisms on Earth haven't got eyes. I think sea wings will be the same. I will steal a platypus's way of navigation, sensing the electronic waves with sensors on the tip of their bill. Having this ability makes sure they can still navigate and find prey. This will mean they also won't be needing their light-up scales anymore, instead communicating by sending ripples through the water or making noises like dolphins. I don't really know. Rainwings live in the rainforest of Pyria. They have a deadly acid they can shoot from their fangs and the ability to camouflage. Unfortunately, they're pacifists at the moment and don't use the abilities for anything cool. They do, however, use their prehensile tails to swing from branches and then use their wings to glide, doing something called tree gliding. I'm not sure that if the rainwings lived on Mars, they'd still have the power to be invisible, but instead be similar to mud/rock wings, just being a similar color to their environment, since most of Mars is the exact same color, red. Their prehensile tails would probably not be there because there isn't much for them to use them on except maybe some rocks. And of course, they'll keep their venom because it's awesome. Nightwings, I don't feel like would change a bunch. On their volcanic island home, they have a venom in their fangs they use for hunting, similar to a Komodo dragon or something. If born under one full moon, they get either foresight or telepathy. If born under 2 full moons, they get both powers. And if all 3 moons are full, they get both powers very strong. Other than that, they're really just normal dragons. As angry as they would be to hear me say that. I'm not sure if they would have the venom or not, because we said we aren't going to talk about food or water for this. However, we can change one thing. Mars only's got 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos. So we'll say that they just can't get extra strong powers, and we can say 1 moon affects 1 power, like maybe Deimos gives you prophecy powers. But they won't really change much as far as appearance goes. Sandwings live in the desert of Pyria. They're able to not eat or drink for a while longer than most other tribes, but we aren't talking about food in this. They have heightened senses of hearing and smell, and they radiate heat from their scales, though I admit I have no clue why. Then they have their famous venomous tails like scorpions. If they lived on Mars, they're definitely keeping their heat scales to keep themselves warm in this cooler climate. I feel like they'd be good runners on Mars, so we're going to give them longer legs. I'm saying this because there's a lot more mountains on Mars than in the desert. This means that sounds will echo and their hunting methods will be less good. I also want to make them good at climbing the mountains like goats or something. I know I said I wasn't going to focus on eating, but the desert tribe is basically all they do, try to find food in their host kingdom. When they're not having a civil war, of course. The last tribes haven't changed much, but I think ice wings will. They have serrated claws to grip ice, chilly scales opposite to sand wings, worm scales, frost breath that can kill someone by turning them into ice, white or pale blue scales for camouflage, and they naturally withstand very cold temperatures. The fan wiki also said that they have sharp eyesight, so they can see through the vast snowy landscape, but I don't remember that. The polar ice caps on Mars have snow, but it's mostly carbon dioxide. I think they would make their houses by burrowing into the ice. So while they keep their serrated claws, their feet will also become more shovel-like, so they can dig deep into the ice. I feel like fire would be helpful for this too, so I'm going to take away the Ice Wing's frost breath and replace it with fire. Also, this should have been done in the main canon universe, but make the Ice Wings fuzzy! The final tribe is the Sky Wings. They're basically just regular medieval dragons. They live in the claws of the clouds mountain range. A mountain range filled with minerals. They can breathe fire and have extra large wings to fly extra well. However, if you watched this video about whether or not dragons could really fly, you would know that no wings are large enough to fly anyway. In the thin atmosphere of Mars, their wings would need to be even bigger. They aren't big enough in this atmosphere and definitely not big enough for the Mars atmosphere. Excluding that, though, their habitat wouldn't change much, thus, they wouldn't adapt much. The claws of the Cloud Mountains and Mars are basically the same place. Anyway, that's about all for this video, Sam-ariffic science fans. This was so fun, and I'm so glad I finally managed to make this video. My next video will be a very festive one, but we talk about an animal very similar to Santa in several ways. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.